Welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 346 of the Ping Pong Flix Show. And today, what a doozy. This has got some big news today. And it is all because the DCEU. This is a DC movie that has been in production for a long time. It has gone through many directors and writers as well. And hopefully they have finally found their footing. This is the biggest news today from The Hollywood Reporter. Flash shocker. It director Andy Muschietti in talks to tackle DC movie, of course, The Flash. Christina Hodson, who wrote Bumblebee and Birds of Prey, is being eyed to write the script. Ezra Miller, meanwhile, remains attached to play the fastest man alive. Warner Brothers' Flash movie project has been jolted by lightning. Andy Muschietti, the filmmaker behind this hit Stephen King adaptation It and the upcoming It Chapter 2, is in talks to direct the action-adventure project based on the DC Comics superhero. His partner and sister Barbara Muschietti will produce, joining Michael Disco on the project. John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, who wrote drafts of the script and were slated to helm the project, have moved on. However, Ezra Miller, the actor who has long been attached to star as the fleet-footed hero, remains on board to star. But in a further development, the studio won't be moving forward with the script Miller co-wrote with comics author Grant Morrison. Instead, Warner's will hire Christina Hodson, the scribe behind Bumblebee and the studio's upcoming DC movie, the Margot Robbie-fronted Birds of Prey, to tackle the script. The goal is to be prepped by January. Deal making has not yet begun, stress insiders. Official offers are expected to go out shortly. Goldstein and Daley's exit is described as voluntarily. According to multiple sources, the pair have been with the project since January of 2018, writing the script and developing it to direct. At one point, the project seemed like it was heading toward a start date in late 2019. But months of tensions over creative differences bogged down the project, with the duo deciding it was time to move on and find new opportunities. The tensions surfaced around what kind of take was the best fit for a Flash film. Miller, who has played the character since 2016's Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, favored a darker approach, while Goldstein and Daley, the pair who wrote Spider-Man: Homecoming and were behind the comedy hit Game Night, wanted the opposite. The two sides have been working on compromises since last year, but Miller then made the unusual move to take it upon himself to pen his own script, enlisting the aid of comics superstar Grant Morrison. That script was submitted to the studio in March. By May, the studio rejected his approach, but concluded that Miller should still remain the Scarlet Speedster. Muschietti hails from the horror world and made his feature debut with Mama, the 2013 thriller that starred Jessica Chastain. His adaptation of It, released in 2017, was a critical and commercial hit, making over $700 million worldwide. Warner's is high on the sequel, with the title being the only movie the studio will be showcasing at the upcoming San Diego Comic-Con. With Muschietti being chosen for Flash, the studio is clearly pleased with the filmmaker too. If a deal is made, Muschietti will be the latest horror filmmaker to cross over to direct a DC movie after going through the trenches of sister division New Line Cinema. James Wan directed Aquaman, a billion-dollar hit, while David Sandberg, who directed Annabelle Creation and Lights Out, made the most recent DC hit, Shazam. Jaume Collet-Serra, who got his start with movies such as House of Wax and Orphan, is attached to helm Black Adam. Muschietti is repped by WME, Hodson's with CAA, Kaplan Perron Entertainment, and Zephyrin Brittingham. That is the article from the Hollywood Reporter that is making lots of noise today. It is quite a big shocker, big breaking news, and for a movie that many have thought was totally gone, has not existed, Ezra Miller is gone, and all that stuff. And I'm going to have to say it right now. They did say in the article that the offers are still going around. So none of this is actually very concrete, but it looks like it's even more concrete than before. And the whole thing about Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daley, walking away from creative differences is almost kind of like it's interesting because I actually was kind of looking forward to the game night movie because of how they directed that one-shot take, and I was interested to see how directors of that could make a Flash film. Albeit there'll probably be a lighter type of movie, but it was going to be kind of interesting in my eyes and what their envision was. Of course, anybody could do that one-shot take, so it's not a deal breaker for me, but it does delay the process even further. Ezra Miller and Grant Morrison's script being thrown out is kind of concerning. I'm hoping that Ezra Miller is staying put because he likes Christina Hodson's take, or Andy Muschietti's take, on the new Flash film. Did they use parts of Grant Morrison's and Ezra Miller's script? Are they bringing in their own? Is this a script from before? Which script is it? Or is Christina Hodson actually writing a huge new, right from page one, and ready to go with that? But if that's the case, then wow, they're going really fast if they're going to be able to shoot by January. They're confident they're going to shoot by January. So that makes me think that they actually have a script in play. This is what they're putting out, the Hollywood Reporter. But I think they already have something in mind, a story in mind, and possibly kind of like a skeleton of timeline of events in the film in mind for Andy Muschietti to even look at that, right? And Christine Hodson has been involved for a little bit now, possibly even during the time of since March, maybe, you know? And this is just my speculation. But I hope that Ezra Miller also looked at that, and that's why sources are saying he's still kind of in the Flash, because the studio truly respects him. They want him to be the Flash. I don't think they want to go through the whole process and conundrum of trying to get another Flash, and so they're actually trying to make it work with him by actually offering him, you go write the script, see what happens. But I think at the same time they were telling Christina Hodson, who wrote Birds of Prey, who's possibly still writing Batgirl, and you know, to look at that and say, hey, can you write a Flash script? You're under our regime right now of DC Films, essentially the New Line Cinema people, and go ahead and see what you can do with that. And maybe they looked at it and said, hey, this looks great. Hey, Ezra, how do you like this? Okay, well, I want to see an offer on the table, and possibly this whole thing could re-up his contract, which expired like last month or end of May. So I'm actually excited that if he's happy and he wanted that take that Zack Snyder was involved in, he wanted that, and people say darker take, but I would say realistic take, in which he has that situation where he wants to, that drama between him and his deceased mother, and possibly has some connection to the father. Those dramatic family beats that I really like to see in a Flash movie, that, you know, the CW kind of does here and there. It's mostly in the beginning series, but it got kind of weird and wacky. But for the most part, I think that is a great story for the Flash to tell. I don't want him to be I want him to be quippy and jokey as well, but being able to dive into those darker moments, kind of like Shazam. You got the lighthearted, and he has to delve deep into the darker elements as well, and not afraid to go that route. So that's the kind of thing I'm actually really looking forward to if this is what Christina Hodson is writing. I wasn't a big fan of Bumblebee. I thought it was a pretty basic coming-of-age story. I'm glad they did that whole beginning at the beginning with Transformers. But Bumblebee was okay, and I think they could have done a little bit more with that, maybe took a little bit more risks with that, but it was okay. And then we'll finally get to see what Birds of Prey is, in order to really see how Christina Hodson's can really make a good script. And with that, I think we should be very, kind of cautiony and actually go into Birds of Prey with an open mind and trying to, from that movie, trying to feel about how is she going to actually play with the Flash script. So that part's a little bit exciting too. We got a new director, new screenwriter, new scriptwriter, and Ezra Miller is back, and that's as best as we can do right now. It's been a long time since Rick Famuyiwa actually took up the project, and it has gone through so many different changes, and finally we're at a point that, is this finally going to be happening? Are they finally going to be shooting in January for a 2021 possible release? That would be a incredible feat, and I can't wait to actually finally get to see the Flash movie. And it's so interesting about this whole situation, about everybody, Walter Hamada kind of choosing from the New Line Cinema playbook, if you will, right? You got horror directors making these DC films. They're essentially giving horror filmmakers the way to into the DC films. Tapping into the New Line Cinema regime, and possibly even choosing them to have them do lower budgets to get the higher gross profitability. Hopefully it gets a higher gross than what Shazam has done so far, and hopefully it will show when Birds of Prey come out and Joker comes out, albeit those two don't have horror movie directors. But it's an interesting thing that they're trying to do here. Interesting reason to getting a horror director sensibilities into the movie. Now, with that being said, Andy Muschietti with It and It Chapter 2, that type of horror movie, that is actually kind of interesting to see how he would tackle the Flash. And he would not be afraid to go into those darker elements. Of course, he could be taken aback, kind of like David Sandberg, who does do those darker elements, and loves to do horror, especially short films, but he could be kind of taken aback to make sure it doesn't go all the way in dark, but once it gets into those horrific elements or dark elements or those deeper elements, he's able to tap it in and be more in line of how more comfortable and how he plays with it. And then for those lighter moments, he could actually just kind of play it off a little bit. So I'm really interested to see how he was going to really get into this movie and actually show his kind of how he can expand beyond horror, right? And maybe he wants to do this that bad. He wants to go in there and say, hey, I've been doing horror for a while. I want to tap into something into the superhero film realm. This is my take, actually. Maybe this is a take he did. And it says, hey, I got a little thing, a take. I've been working with Christina Hodson. I got this kind of a story of Flash that I want to tell. What do you guys think about it? And Warner Brothers looks at it and says, yeah, that's great. For a director-driven studio, I hope they actually listen to this guy. I mean, it's so funny to say that when they actually kind of not really but kind of dismiss John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, being that they're supposed to be kind of director-driven studio, and yet they really want to keep Ezra Miller. But I mean, I hope it's all for the better, and I hope that everything comes and works out this time around. I don't want to hear like in a couple months where Andy Muschietti walked away from the project, Ezra Miller walked away from project, Christina Hodson is no longer doing script. That could be disastrous in a PR point for the DCEU and for Warner Brothers altogether. So hopefully this sticks, and hopefully they'll get it right away, because that's one of the things I really want, is to have another Justice League member. Not a side character, not a spinoff, but another Justice League character actually get their own film. And so hopefully this does well. Maybe throw in, give Ray Fisher, throw Ray Fisher a little bit of a bone and tell him he can be in this movie as well or something, and get his movie. I'd be really happy for all of them, including, I don't know, Henry Cavill to get his own movie. And really looking forward to who's going to be in this movie. other than the Scarlet Speedster. So that is The Flash. Flash getting a new director, a new scriptwriter and screenwriter. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comments below. Now, something interesting has happened in the Justice League Snyder Cut world, right? There are a couple artists who actually came out, and we know about Kevin Smith. He's always been about release of Snyder Cut. Hey, let's get this going. Why aren't they showing this? Why aren't they doing anything? Big support of the release of Snyder Cut, which is great. Today, a comic, a screen artist and writer and painter, most notably for Superman, Captain Marvel, Infinity War, Wildstar Jerry Ordway actually came out and kind of responded to John Aaron Garza's Justice League opening, that Snyder Cut video that he made that I talked about. And he said this: "That's powerful. I sure would like to see a Blu-ray of this cut of the film. What does at Warner Brothers Home Entertainment got to lose? I certainly appreciate the recreation of Richard Donner's Superman 2. So why not Zack Snyder's Justice League?" So essentially, you say release the Snyder Cut, and they're in full support of the Snyder Cut. Why not Warner Brothers? Indeed. But that's not the only artists have come out. The other one is Rob Liefeld. Rob Liefeld, who makes some interesting art of big-chested superheroes. Very weird looking, but you know, he's also the creator of Deadpool. And he said this: "Everyone wants it released. Give it to us." He tweeted that out. What's interesting, by the way, I want to add that is I can actually see his tweets now. He had blocked me a long time ago. And you may ask, why would anyone block me? But I got into a little bit of a group tweet fight, I guess, with him and Grace Randolph, and I just got caught in the middle, and I think he just blocked everybody in that chat. But yeah, I have no idea why he blocked me, but he did. And for some reason, now I can see his tweets, so maybe he unblocked me. Not that I care, but I just thought that was interesting that I can see his tweets now. Bret Booth, and also another comic book penciler. I think he mainly does art, his own kind of art, independent artist. He also tweeted out that a bit old, but I'll play, hashtag release the Snyder Cut colors by @Keem51. This is an art of Henry Cavill as the Man of Steel. Very incredible art right there. So got 3 artists and possibly many more, including the one and only Alex Ross. Alex Ross. He doesn't actually say release a Snyder Cut, but he shows artwork that he's done and shows screen caps of what Zack Snyder has done kind of replicating his art and kind of honoring him in a way. So in a way, he's for the Snyder Cut. In a way, he's all about Zack Snyder. He has liked some tweets where people have said release a Snyder Cut. So I'm all for that. The man, Alex Ross himself, is saying that. And dude, man, I am all for Alex Ross. The whole Kingdom Come book is like incredible. One of my all-time favorite graphic novels, by the way. And if you're interested, I actually have an Amazon store that you can go down in my description, and you can click on that. And if you've never seen it before, get that right now. But those artists are in full support of the Snyder Cut, I believe. Release the Snyder Cut, Warner Brothers. Even the artists are telling you that. Last but not least, the Release the Snyder Cut has another event this Friday. They just tweeted this out now at RT Snyder Cut. Event Friday, July 5th. We are calling on the fandom to make some noise. Follow the timetable so that we all tweet at the same time. Let's see if we can get our hashtag trending. If your city isn't listed, try to work out what time you have to tweet. If you need help, ask us. And this is the picture that they tweeted out, if you can see it. In recent days, not all, but some of you have reported a concern that the hashtag release the Snyder Cut hashtag is not appearing on Twitter. So what better way to make sure it appears than an online event? What we want you to do this Friday, no matter where you live, get involved at the time listed on the right by tweeting out an image or clip related to the Snyder Cut. It could be a deleted scene or some fan art, anything you want. Number 2, add one sentence about why the Snyder Cut is important to you. Number 3, only use the hashtag release the Snyder Cut. By the way, real quick, please don't do hashtag release the Cinder Cut. Some people flip the N and Y. I've actually seen that, and it doesn't pick it up. So release the Snyder Cut. Number 4, only tag at Warner Bros. And make sure that tag is at the end of your tweet. This way we can maximize our impact. And the timeline I'm showing you right here. Los Angeles 8 a.m. And then after that you can probably look at here, Los Angeles 8 a.m. And Pacific Standard Time, and you can probably calculate your time from then and therefore. So some of these will go into Saturday, like Seoul, Tokyo, Sydney. This is a worldwide Twitter event for all. I think they got like 5,000, over 5,000 people who are now following RT Snyder Cut. So this is an exceptional event, and we're going to keep trying to get it trending on Friday to keep it back into play. And I think this is an incredible thing that we've all get together, group up, come together, and be part of this movement. And this is one way to do that. In addition to the Project Comic-Con that is still accepting donations to their GoFundMe page. So please go and check that out. There are more boots on the ground, I believe, and there's going to be flyers out there as well. New QR codes are being put on those flyers, so it when people scan it, it can actually take them back to the Snyder Cut survey that Mick D has done. The simple survey, the 2-button survey that shows you if there's people out there are very much interested in Snyder Cut. It's another way of getting analytics on how much interest they can get from the Snyder Cut people, and also from the general audience, and also people who are going to be at the San Diego Comic-Con. So that is fantastic. But that is it. That is it for tonight. Thank you so much for subscribing, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.